I wanted a little bit more control of the tank, so I decided to put the gate valve on there. It seems to be working well. Looks kind of goofy. It's kind of oddly colored considering all the other piping in here is white. But it is what it is. There's going to be a cover on this thing 90% of the time, except when I'm doing maintenance, checking temperature, pH levels, all that. Now down here in the refugium area, I got a bio brick in there, a piece of live rock, and some chlorpa. That chlorpa started off as one little leaf, and I had to stick in that rock because it was overflowing into my filter floss there to the left. I stuck it to the rock. It's been there ever since, and it's grown into what looks like to be about 3 or 4 leaves on there. It actually reaches over behind this matrix bottle, and is looks like it's almost trying to wrap around the pond matrix that I got there in the refugium. So I got all that in there. I am using pond matrix. I bought 1 bottle, and it's supposed to treat up to 50 gallons of water. So I figured that'll be enough for right now. Like I said, I don't have a really heavy bio load at this point, so that should be enough for now to kind of take out excess nitrates and hopefully catch some of the phosphates that I'm getting readings on. I got the B-ionic down there. Once I get some corals in here, I'm going to start dosing. My calcium and alkalinity levels at this point are fantastic. They're pretty much holding right where they were, say, about 2 weeks ago when I first started this thing, got it up and running. So now that the cycle's done, I'm wondering if the tank might start consuming a little bit more of the calcium and alkalinity. But I got that on standby, and I'm planning on using Kalkwasser in my auto top-off system. Now, I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I believe it was my intro video, I got this gaudy white bucket over here that my wife hates. Yeah, she still hates it, but it's going to be a temporary thing. I have a piece of line running down into that bucket. It comes up here where the pump's behind this black panel. If you know from my stand build episode, I love magnets. This thing's held on by magnets, and that's where I house all my power bars for my Reef keeper, and where all the magic happens, what makes this thing run. So another thing I wanted to go over is the stability by Seachem. I used that when I ran out of Bacto start from the Red Sea Reef Mature Pro kit. Pretty much had to keep feeding beneficial bacteria into the system daily to keep the cycle going. So when I ran out of Bacto start, I just switched over to stability, and yeah, this thing cycled. So I definitely believe stability is a good product by Seachem. I think it works. If I ever do another tank, I'll probably end up using that rather than spending the money on the Red Sea Reef Mature Pro Kit. The Pro Kit's not a bad product. It's just for at the price point, I use stability on my nano tank, and it cycled just as fast as my 65-gallon tank cycle. So yeah, that's the cycling process in a nutshell, what I did. I'm running filter floss on this system. It seems to be catching a lot of micro bubbles, which is good. That's what I was planning on. When I did the sump build, I did a video on that. And at first I was going to stick the grating over here on this side, but I figured since this baffle over here wasn't that high, and then I was also going to have greens such as chlorpa or potato. It was undecided at that point. I didn't want it overflowing, going into the return section and clogging up a pump or have any problems like that. So I decided to put it there to the left, and so far it's working out great. I had to change it once, I want to say 1 week into the cycle. It was just a really dark brown color, and that's when my skimmer was first starting to pull any kind of gunk out of the water. And I don't know if you can see over there the skimmer right now, it's pulling out some yellow stuff. Nothing crazy dark or nasty sludge looking, but it's getting some stuff out of the water. I have to say, for only doing two 5% water changes so far, this water's still pretty clear, crystal clear. Now, I know regular water changes, and once I get carbon running on this thing, the water should be super clear. So I'm looking forward to that. Alright, so down here I got a little cobalt pump supplying the carbon GFO reactor, and it returns right back down into the return chamber. The heater right there, it's you can see the bottom portion of it. All the water that comes from the refugium through the filter floss goes down and runs over the heater. I did it like that, that way all the water that flows through this tank is getting great contact time with the heater. I do plan on buying a backup heater and working it into the refugium area. That way, if that heater ever fails, my reef keeper can go ahead and turn it on, and I don't have to worry about any heating issues with my tank. I got a Eheim 3000 compact pump back there. I figured from what they said it had head height wise going to the top of my aquarium, which is about a 5-foot run, I'd be right around between 550 and 600 gallons per hour, and I don't even think it's close to that. I'm willing to bet it's probably right up around 490, if that. I just don't get that great a return flow coming from my jets upstream. I do think, though, that when I first put the return jets in, I poked small holes in them to prevent back siphoning, just in case the pump shut off and overflowing my sump here. I poked the holes in there, and those get a decent amount of flow coming out of them, so I definitely think it cuts down on the flow that's coming out of the actual jets themselves. Other than that, it's a great pump. It's super quiet. I haven't had any issues with it so far. I guess it's too early in the game to see or find out. You never know. So thinking sometime in the spring I'm going to upgrade to the Eheim 5000 compact pump. I was thinking about a DC controllable pump, but I'm just not that into this hobby yet to spend that kind of money on something that can inevitably or will inevitably fail. Just starting out, I definitely think this is a great pump for the money. Now back there you see my float switches. I got one set just in case the power shuts off, and you see the WC fill line. That's my water change fill line. That's right where I want water to be when the pump shuts off. Gives me a little bit of extra room just in case the display tank has more water in it, or for some reason my auto top off pump decides to keep pumping water into the system. But I have everything set up on my reef keeper to prevent things like that. If the pH drops significantly, it'll shut off the auto top off pump. If the pH skyrockets, it will shut off the auto top off pump. But I have the top float switch there is set up. If the water level ever rises and triggers that float switch, it's going to turn off the skimmer. I don't want this skimmer overflowing into my tank and putting all that nastiness back into the water column. The lower one is for the auto top off system. That thing goes on and off all day long, but I got a little, what is it called? Tom's Aqua Pump up here in this compartment that pumps the water into there. Super quiet. I haven't had any problems with it yet, and it gets the job done. Keeps the water right there at the run line. Now, I purchased these float switches from Bulk Reef Supply. They came separate from the Digital Aquatics Reef Keeper, but they are a Digital Aquatics product. Now, I had those two gray hooks that hang from the top of the sump. They came with the Eheim, so that way you can mount the Eheim from the top of the sump or tank or wherever you're putting it. I decided to use those as my auto top off switch or float switch hangers. For those of you who've watched previous videos, you know I fabricated this whole stand. I work in a fabrication shop, and we had some scrap titanium, some small pieces sitting in a box. So I took those scrap pieces, formed them, drilled some holes, and got some titanium nuts and bolts to hold them fast on the brackets. Titanium is not corrosive in salt water, so I don't have to worry about any problems with rust or anything like that. And this is pretty clean titanium that I dipped in muriatic acid just to get any oils and impurities off of it, and then rinsed it with RODI water. So I don't have to worry about anything leaching from the titanium into my water column. The light here is a Fluval Halo. I love this thing. I had it on my nano tank, and honestly I think it was almost too much for my nano tank. Even at its lowest setting, sitting about 8 inches off the top of my nano, which was a little Fluval 5-gallon tank, the thing was too bright. Zoanthids hated it. They'd turn it up a little bit and they'd close up. I'd turn it down to its lowest setting and they'd open up and they were fine. So I think this thing's going to be perfect for help to keep pH levels pretty steady during the evening when the main display tank lights are out. That and help grow the chlorophyll that's in there and any other beneficial bacteria that's growing in the refugium. So that's my sump in a nutshell. Nothing else to really talk about it. I mean, it's what you see here is what I got so far. I did build the return or the first chamber of the sump fairly large, just because I knew I was going to upgrade the skimmer, and that's definitely going to happen. So once I get more fish in here, that thing's going to fill up quick. It's going to be nasty. You need something a little bit better to keep up with this system. I hope you guys like it. If you have any questions about anything, how I came up with any of these ideas, for how I did things, anything at all, just go ahead and drop it down in the comment section and I'll get back to you. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Electric Reef out.